Well, Canes prospects continue to perform well around the globe, highlighted by virtuoso performances from Chicago Wolves' Felix Unger Sorum and Bradly Nadeau, as well as collegiate Jayden Perron, recent draftee Filip Ekberg, and Russian goalie Yegor Velmakin. Joining me as always to discuss Carolina Hurricanes prospects from Canes Prospects and Developing Hurricanes podcast, Nick Bass. Howdy, Nick.
Hello.
Hey, Nick. Some interesting players in the top 5 prospects and in the honorable mentions this month. I thought we could have some fun with this. And to kick it off, number 5 is someone we've talked quite a bit about. Drafted this year, Filip Ekberg. Now, Ekberg, again, a small player, 5'10", 180. Playing with Ottawa 67s. He was drafted at 221. And, you have to put that in perspective because only 224 players were drafted. So he's about as late as it gets. And, the Canes have seemed to be having great success with some of these later round drafts. We just heard this week that Yoel Nystrom, 7th rounder, was signed on by the Canes for 4 years. So this is quite a story. In any case, what can you tell us about Ekberg's play in November? Sorry.
Yeah, whenever he's able to play, and it seems like the injuries and the illnesses are kind of behind him now, he's one of Ottawa's more important players, and it's a very loaded Ottawa team, to be fair. They have a lot of draft talent this year, and they've kind of gotten a good crux of talent already, including Justin Williams' kid, Jackson, which is kind of funny to see from time to time. But he's one of their more important players because he's so creative when he has the puck. I like to see him shooting a lot more this year comparatively. It's kind of funny whenever you look at him visually, he kind of looks like Teuvo Teravainen, and you can kind of see it in some of the playmaking aspects with the things that he's able to do. But he had a good month. Just the OHL is the OHL, so it's kind of hard to gauge exactly where in his development you'd like to see some stuff improve and stuff like that.
Well, he's got, for the season, in 22 games, he's got 7 goals, 12 assists for 19 points. So he's almost a point a game. But, you remember, we talked a little bit about this, but in the Under-18 World Championships in 24, he was incredible. He was actually the MVP of the tournament. He just tore it up with 10 goals and 18 points in 7 games. So he's proven that he's got elite offensive talent, so we'll keep an eye on him. That's great to see him on the top 5 this month. That's awesome. Number 4 is somebody you have talked about before quite a bit, and that's Yegor Velmakin. Velmakin playing in the VHL with Dynamo St. Petersburg. And he's off to a pretty good start overall in the season. He's 5-4-1, 9.22 save percentage, and Velmakin, another big goalie. Checks in at 6'4". What can you tell us about Yegor for November?
Yeah, it's nice to finally see him get a lot more opportunity. I think he only needs like 1 or 2 more games, and he'll match his start total or at least his appearance total last year whenever he was in the KHL. And it's only December, so he has a lot more time, and he's looked good. Again, I think it's the consistency for the most part that I'm really impressed with so far. And now that he's getting consistent game time, he's posting a lot more just good performances over time. And it's definitely nice after the past year and a half that he's had for him to get a lot more playing time and success. And there's a lot to like. I do wonder what's going to happen with him because he is on an expiring contract. So I don't know how that's going to play out at the end of this year, but I'm a little intrigued about it.
Yeah, no, he was drafted in 22. So, he's kind of moving along. And there's other goalies, as we know, with Semyon Frolov and Ruslan Kazeev that are out there. So he's got his hands full trying to get into the mix. But great to hear that Igor is doing well. And you had covered him pretty closely, I think, at the Dev Camp.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was on purpose. But whenever it was the first dev camp I kind of had some cool access with, and I just wanted to make it a point to say hi because he had been in Russia, and it was the first prospect that they had kind of brought over from Russia him and Hajayev, but Hajayev was a little different because he had signed at that point. So it was
Right.
definitely cool to talk with him, and he's a super nice guy, and just made it a point to say hi to him. And yeah, I'm rooting for him, obviously, but I'm rooting for all Kane's
That's
prospects. So
great. Well, that's good fun that you've got that personal side as well with him. Checking in at number three, no surprise, as he's now called in Chicago, the show, not surprising, is of course Bradly Nadeau. And Nadeau off to a great start with the Wolves. He's up with the Canes for some games, showed some good stuff, of course, filling in for some injured players. Gets back in Chicago and is now finding his mojo for sure. And in 15 games overall, he's got 8 goals, 9 assists. So he's tearing up the American League again. What did you see in November from Bradly Nadeau?
Um, it it's more the completeness of his game that he's rounding out. Consistency was not an issue, but it was definitely something that I wanted to see improve over the next year or so into now. And then 5-on-5 play was a big one because a lot of his goals and a good amount of his points came on the power play. So I wanted to just see him get stronger 5-on-5 and get stronger just overall as well, just because, he is an undersized player. He just can't, he needs to not be able to get bullied off the puck all the time. And
Right.
it's definitely something that he's gotten a lot better at this year. He's handling physicality well. He's able to finish checks on forechecks, which is something that he kind of shied away from last year. And the 5-on-5 play has gotten a lot better. I really like the line with him, Suzuki, and Felix. Robidas
Right.
over Felix is fine perfectly where it is. I think it's another really good line, but I really like Nadeau and think that him and Felix are probably going to be the two most important players for offensive players for the Wolves going into the deeper year that they have.
Now, an interesting thing with the Wolves, kind of interesting this week that Cam Abbott was relieved of his duties there. Any thoughts on that while we're talking about the Wolves?
Um, I know I hmm. So I think it's weird to do it in season. I think Patrick Williams had mentioned that it is just so rare to see coaches get fired in season, especially in the AHL, unless you're like Bridgeport last year, who were just god awful.
Yes.
And I think it might have been them or Utica last year, whoever fired their coach midseason. But it's rare to see, and especially for a team that I believe is third in the division right now, who's
Yes, they
looking
are.
good. And I
Yeah.
really liked a lot of what he was doing development wise with so like a lot of the Canes guys. But at that
Right.
same point, last year, even though you did get into the playoffs, if you're the Wolves, you have a higher expectation. And what I will give Spiros Anastas full credit. First up, he's a really nice guy. I got to meet and talk with him at Dev Camp. Super nice dude, and I really like his approach to a lot of things. And he's done really good work with the penalty kill, turning it into one of the better units in the AHL. And he has done really good work with the defense. I like a
Okay.
lot of what he did last year, and so far this year he was doing spectacular work with Bryce Montgomery, and he's just doing a lot of good development work. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how the team looks now. And I guess we'll find out tonight, Saturday. So I'm interested to see that. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things that we've seen this year with the Wolves, of course, is that we've seen a number of Wolves players coming up to the Canes, and the fact that they are schooled in the same system and seem to be well prepared, they're coming in and making a strong contribution. I mean, certainly, when Nadeau was up and Robidas and of course Nystrom was up and so on. So you've got a lot of guys that have come up and I think again a bit of a surprise, but I did see in some of the notes that they had been somewhat concerned about Abbott's work for a period of time. This was not something that just happened. They just decided, hey, we're going to do it today because we feel that way. In any case, lots going on with the Wolves, and we'll be talking more about the Wolves, I'm sure. Now, college hockey is always a big one that we get into, and in the U.S. college ranks, somebody we've talked about a lot, Jayden Perron. He's with Michigan this year, which is, I think, a good move for him. Don't forget, he was drafted in 23 in the third round, 94th overall. And we had talked a little bit about this, that the draft forecasters had him very, very high. Elite Prospects had him at 10, Smart Scouting at 13. recruit scouting at 31. There's a lot of folks who really thought that he was going to be drafted pretty close to the first round, if not in the first round. And he ended up, the Canes got him at 94th. So 20 games this year, 6 goals, 12 assists, again, a smaller player. What did we see with Jayden in November?
Yeah, he just looks like a different player now with Michigan. It's like he refound the confidence that he didn't necessarily have with North Dakota. He's able to do a lot more of the things that he wants to do, and he's also getting a lot more opportunity now. He's averaging probably, I haven't looked since I was writing that just because when college hockey we're about to enter the dry spell because of the World Juniors and the Spengler Cup. So
Okay.
um, but he was averaging close to maybe like 17, 18 minutes a night. He was a top line forward. And what's interesting to me is that he's been quarterbacking a power play unit, which is something I didn't think we would see from him, but I'm happy to see it from the Michigan head coach, whose name is escaping me at this moment in time, because I think Perron has the necessary playmaking ability to effectively quarterback a power play, and I've seen a good amount of what it has looked like so far, and it's looked good. So I'm interested to see if he'll continue to do that. And Perron just looks like a much different player than the guy who was at North Dakota for the past few years, and he's another guy that I think if Michigan has a nice run, it might be a little interesting to see what happens with him at the end of the year.
Well, this is great to see because, of course, we had expected that Jayden would kind of take the gauntlet from Bradly Nadeau last year in North Dakota and would really step his game up. We were fully expecting that, and he didn't do that. And it's nice to see that in Michigan he's starting to find his game because he's definitely a talented player. So good stuff for Perron. And speaking about folks who've kind of really got their game in gear after a bit of a tough season last year, that's our number one guy, Felix Unger Sorum. And, we talked a lot about Unger Sorum with the challenges he had last year. Of course, they tried to play him at center ice. They wanted to see if they could move him into that center spot. It didn't quite click for him. Wasn't a great year for Felix. Again, a guy that everybody was so high on. He had a great camp the year before, almost made the Canes. There was so much excitement with it. And all of a sudden, he's kind of way down the depth chart. But looks like he's coming back up and is having an outstanding season. And I know he had a great November. What can you tell us about Felix?
Biggest thing is his confidence. It looked like it kind of got shot last year whenever he was moved to center, and it's a position that he hadn't played since junior. And I know that players are always going to be open to opportunities and stuff like that, but maybe that was one where you needed to say, well, maybe not. So this year he starts as a pure right winger,
Right.
and it's just been unbelievable the stuff that he's done. I mean, he's looking like the player that you got to watch in Sweden, where he's making just insane plays. He's manipulating time with his skating in tight situations. He's making just great things happen when he has the puck on his stick, and he's gotten a lot better with the puck not on his stick. So it's a lot to do with confidence. And I also think there's like a half step quicker, and his physicality has gotten a lot better where he's been able to handle a lot more checks and stuff like that. And the brain or the feet are finally catching up to the brain, which is the big thing. So it felt like last year he would think the right play and try and make the play, but his feet were like almost in quicksand where it was like half a second late. This year he's not half a second late, and he's been making the right play, and it's just now you're seeing the player that was taken in the second round a couple of years ago.
Well, Felix to me has always had tremendous hockey IQ. Like he sees the ice extremely well. He's a guy that can make passes that a lot of folks can't even dream of, and he loves to hold on to the puck and make something happen. And I think there's a couple of things I've noticed quite different this year. Certainly his skating definitely improved, but seems to have a harder shot. He's scoring more goals. He's shooting more. He's scoring more goals. He's got a number of power play goals. And the other thing is he looks stronger to me. Like he looks stronger on the boards. Again, when he first came in, he was quite thin, not a heavy player at all. So I think he's definitely stronger. And, he's had the talent all along, as you say, Nick. I think we all felt, man, this guy's really got unique talent. if he can just put it all together. And it seems like he's really doing that this year. And it's exciting because the Canes, they need some folks ready to come in and play some games for them, and he's getting really really close. And so you've got a guy like Unger Sorum, you've got Nadeau, and you've got Justin Robidas, who we'll talk about, all doing good work in Chicago. And the Wolves are, they're a breeding ground for some top Canes prospects these days. So it's great stuff. So great stuff with number one overall, Felix Unger Sorum, and we're ecstatic that he takes the top run this month. So good stuff, Nick. Honorable mentions. We've got some interesting folks there as well. Kurban Limatov. Now, Kurban Limatov drafted this year, third round, number 67. He's a big defenseman, and we talked a lot about these huge defensemen that the Canes drafted this year. 6'4", just under 200 pounds. Playing with MHK Dynamo Moscow in the MHL. What are we seeing with Kurban so far?
It's a return to form. Basically, he had just gotten over an injury where he was at, I think he was, yeah, he was, somebody saw him at dev camp, but he was hurt, so he didn't skate. And he had just gotten back like a month ago, I think, about that. My memory's been off the past couple of days, so I could be wrong, but he had just recovered from an injury, and they were slowly easing him back in. But with Timur Cole being out, they've kind of thrust him into the role that Cole had, and he's looked exactly what Kurban Limatov has. He's a very, very strong skater. His physicality is really solid for where he's at in his age and his weight and everything. He still has a little bit more room to fill out his frame because, he is 6'4". I would say closer to 6'5" at this point because when you watch him, he towers over his teammates. And he just looks good. I'm liking a lot of the offensive traits that he's showing, doing a lot more power play work, which is nice. And just the instincts are really, really solid. Just interested to see how Dynamo Moscow works with that whenever Timur Cole comes back, because I think those two are going to be pretty fun together. And also, to both Cole and Limatov, they both make MHL All-Star games, so that's also kind of cool for them.
Wow. Well, that's that just goes to show the kind of depth the Canes are starting to grow on their blue line. And again, these are huge defensemen. Cole's another big one. So these are big players. Limatov, again, he's a guy that he's got 8 points in 18 games. Darren York, I know, really liked Kurban Limatov. He was a guy that he really wanted to grab, and so it's
not
great
alone.
to see him. And he's just 18.
Yeah.
18 years old. So, there's lots of time for Limatov. So that's exciting. It's great stuff. Okay, the next guy on the honorable mentions, we talked about a ton. And we really wondered how it would go this year for Justin Poirier. Of course, coming out of Drakkar last year, he had a massive year, 58 games, he had 43 goals and 37 assists. So he tore up junior hockey, basically. And the question was, could a player of his stature at 5'8" and 185, how is he going to do getting him with, older players in the college ranks? And all he's done so far is he had a hat trick one game, and he was Hockey East Rookie of the Month in October. So I think so far Justin's done well. So how did he do in November?
He had some slower games for sure. He had a series against New Hampshire this past weekend where he was held pointless, but New Hampshire also just surprised me in their fact that they won both games, or I think they won both games. But the thing for me was always going to be, how is his play style going to translate from junior to college, where guys are going to be, more physically mature. And it honestly doesn't look like he's missed a step. His goal against, I want to say UMass Lowell, but I could be really wrong, whoever they played midweek, where he just went coast to coast and went around defenders, got straight to the front of the net and scored. That's the stuff that made Poirier so intriguing, is just because, he's a smaller statured guy. Yeah, his skating stance might be a little funky, but at the same point, he just has the natural ability to score, which is something that a lot of players just don't have. So to see that play style translate to college ranks so early on in his career is super nice to see. So I'm pretty impressed with what Poirier has done so far.
And he's still a teenager as well, right?
He just turned 19 in September, I think.
This is stupid. Yeah, he's something else. And in 17 games, he's got 13 goals, 7 assists for 20 points. So he's definitely getting it done. The interesting thing about Poirier, and this seems to be a constant theme these days, we were talking about it earlier, he was drafted in the fifth round, number 125.
Yeah.
But the Canes are finding these nuggets late in the draft. Yeah.
To be fair, I would say the reason why the Canes are kind of finding these guys is because they're just undersized forwards,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
NHL teams
Right.
are still. I wouldn't say still because there is a genuine thing about undersized forwards. You just don't see a lot of them in the modern day NHL, but they're nervous about taking them because they don't want to just outright waste the pick. But sometimes
Yeah.
you get not. I don't want to say lucky, but sometimes your scouts go, "All right, we're going to take the risk because we have the opportunity to."
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Nick. Of course, because some of these folks are smaller players, we're able to scoop them up later in the draft. But again, I think the Canes are doing something which we've seen repeatedly in the draft, which is just getting as many draft picks as they can, making moves to do that, and throwing darts in the wall. And some of them are, Filip Ekberg. We talked about coming in at 2-2-1. I mean, that's insane. Okay, next guy, another smaller player. Seems like we're on a bit of a run here. And again, somebody we've talked about a lot, mentioned him earlier, of course, Justin Robidas with the Wolves. Robidas, again, was drafted in the fifth round, number 147 in 2021. So similar kind of number, fifth rounder again. Off to a great start. He's got 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points in just 19 games. And Robidas, I thought, looked great when he was up with the Hurricanes. What do we see with Justin in November?
Yeah, I think at this point, Robidas is just an NHL player. Um, he's probably going to be an AHL guy for the rest of the year just because the Hurricanes have so many NHL bodies that could probably play on your fourth line. But
Yeah.
he's shown he's an NHL player at this point. I think he can handle the full workload of that. I think he could get penalty kill time if they needed him to. He's basically just NHL ready at this
Yeah.
point. And it's kind of awesome for an undersized guy from Texas, of all places, to just continue to just show that he has the stuff that makes him NHL material at this point, going from, the Quebec League to the ECHL and to the AHL, and he's showing that he's ready for the NHL. So at this point, I'm glad to see him in the AHL because I don't think Chicago is going to complain about having a do-it-all forward in your lineup. But at that same point, he's probably just NHL ready at this point in time. So
Well, I kind of agree. I thought I've said this numerous times that I felt like Justin was NHL ready, and he's a guy that he's good in the faceoff dot. He's a solid penalty killer, as you mentioned. He's been working on the power play, of course, with Chicago. He does it all. And the thing I notice about Justin, whenever he's on the ice, that motor's going. He's a guy
yeah,
that's just constantly in action, and he can really move. And the other thing I like about Justin, of course, he's got a lower center of gravity. He's solid. He's a solidly built player. So even though he's smaller in stature, you don't just push him around. And again, I think last year in his end of season opportunity with the Canes, he scored a goal and looked pretty good. This year, I think he looks even better. So yeah, excited about Justin Robidas. And man, I wouldn't be unhappy if he got a chance to come in and have a full time shot with the Canes as well. So good stuff with Robidas. Wrapping up the honorable mentions, Jakub Vondras. Of course, he's playing in Czechia. Vondras, again, another big goalie at 6'4", drafted in the sixth round in 2022 at 171. He's a guy that, again, played in Canada for a while with Sudbury a couple of years ago. Didn't have a great season, but wanted to come over to North America and see if he could get his game kind of where it needed to be. What's been happening with Jakub Vondras?
yeah. First up, super nice kid. I got to meet him. Oh God, I don't even know how long this was ago. At Dev Camp, him and Patrick Hammerla. They just had
Oh,
a whole fun time trying to get to North America, and it was kind of funny. I want to say one of the last days, they were sitting behind us, and I'm speaking with Hammerla about his whole experience, and Vondras is just behind us signing cards that people have brought him of him for like Sudbury, and he
yeah.
leans over like, "Does this happen that often?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, it happens a good amount. With these fans are just kind of like that." So that was a really fun thing. Yeah, he's kind of just been playing for Dynamo Pardubice B, if I pronounce
Okay.
that correctly, which is
Yes.
the Czech second division, and he's had some up and down moments, but I think November was probably his best stretch of games, and it's always nice to talk about him. And he's another big guy. I think his contract rights expire at the end at I want to say June 1st of 2026,
Yes.
so he's a
Yeah.
guy that I'm also a little interested in just because he is a bigger goalie, and I don't really know what's going to happen with the Hurricanes goalie system going forward after this year. So I'm interested to see that, I guess.
That's an interesting comment.
Hey, there's a lot of goalies in the pipeline.
Wow.
Some of them are doing good. Some of them are still playing. So
Yeah, and it's I remember talking about Vondras a couple of years ago. Boy, when he first kind of came on the scene, he looked like he was going to be a serious goaltending prospect, and then kind of got lost. So it's good to see him back in the radar. Again, a guy that comes in as a big goaltender. He's got some great skill, great talent, but he's going to have his hands full. As you say, this goaltending crew is huge in terms of the number of big goaltenders that the Canes are bringing into the fold. And boy, I'll tell you, some of them look incredible. I'm really excited, of course, of Frolov, of Kazeev, and then you got a bunch of guys still back in Russia and other parts of the world. So it's great stuff. Any other folks you'd just like to highlight for November that kind of jump out at you?
Uh, I wouldn't say for November, but it has been really nice to see Roman Bausov playing hockey again. He's another
Ah,
guy that's been sidelined for a long time. Got to see him at Dev Camp, looked really solid. But he had been sidelined by an injury for a while, and he just played his first game a week ago, I think, and just
okay.
played his most recent two and got a goal today. So that was kind of cool to see.
Ah,
And he's another one of those just gigantic freak of nature 18-year-olds that are 6'5" who can skate like the wind. So it's kind of cool.
well, I remember at Dev Camp you were very high on Roman Balsov, and I remember you talked a lot about him, and he was one of those towering defensemen that the Canes are bringing into the organization. So it's good, exciting stuff. So as we move into December, who are you going to be keeping an eye on this month?
Well, this will be the first time in a while that I don't have to watch the World Juniors at all. The Canes have sent nobody. Sweden didn't pick anybody. Canada didn't pick anybody. Um, I think it'll be kind of nice for one, just because it's something I don't have to worry about. But gonna have to watch the Spengler Cup,
Ah,
a big tournament. I think it's right after Christmas, kind of during that
yes,
same time for uh, as the World Juniors. But Charlie Cerrato will be playing for the U.S.
yes.
College Select Team, so that'll be kind of nice to see him because Penn State hasn't played a hockey game in I want to say like 2 weeks, 3 weeks at this point. So it's been kind of
Wow.
weird to see that, but it'll be nice to watch that. I'm interested to see Nikita Artamonov with his new team, Fyodor Avramov with
Yes,
his new team.
yes.
Eventually, Alexander Suryatsky will be back, and Semyon Frolov will be back, and Timur Cole will be. There's just a laundry list of injured names I'm kind of waiting to see back. So I definitely think Artamonov for one, and then like the Bausov and then the Spengler Cup would be someone looking at.
Yeah, the Artemonov situation, boy, after such a great run that he had previously, and then just seemed to kind of move a little bit into the I guess less exciting prospect area. What do you still feel great about Artemonov?
I still feel fine about him, yeah. The whole torpedo situation going into this year was just a mess from all sides. It just felt weird going into the year that your 19-year-old that led your team in points was going to be in the not minors, but going to be in a
Yeah,
league below.
yeah,
So that just felt weird from the start. And then just kind of bouncing around leagues, and now is finally technically back home because it's where he was born or his youth team, and he's looked better in the couple games that he's had for the KHL team. So I'm interested to see if he can kind of keep that form because Neftekhimik, if I can pronounce that correctly, plays a very up tempo offensive style of hockey where the forwards are allowed to kind of be more creative. So I'm interested to see how that kind of plays into what his game is.
Cool. You mentioned Charlie Cerrato this week on a podcast with Aaron Manning and Katie Bartlett. We were talking about the center situation of the Canes, and we all feel like maybe they have to shore up the center spot. And one of the big question was, do we feel like this is a short-term move because Charlie Cerrato could be the answer in 2 or 3 years? What's your thinking about that?
I think he can be. I've loved a lot of what I've seen from him this year. Obviously, it's been a little slower over the past couple of weeks, but he's still one of the more dynamic. I wouldn't, maybe not dynamic, but he's one of the more consistent and reliable players in college hockey because of everything he does. He's one of the better face-off takers in the country. He kills penalties. He's a really good power play guy. He's good net front, and he drives his line, which is probably the most important thing you want to see from a guy who wants to stick at center at the NHL level is his ability to drive play and do what he's supposed to do as a center. And Cerrato does that effectively. It kind of depends on what Penn State does this year, but at this point, if he continues to produce like he had before the break, it's kind of hard to see him having anything else to prove at the college level. So I would think that if Penn State has a good year, I wouldn't be shocked to see Cerrato signed at the end of the year, but then I would probably want to see him at the AHL level for a while. Maybe not a while, but I would want to see him at the AHL level to get him more used to pro hockey before doing that. But I definitely think Cerrato has that potential to be a second line center. I don't know if it's like a high end second line center, but just a lot of the stuff that he does makes me feel like he could be.
Cool. Well, then that fits quite nicely with some of the ideas that we were playing with, that maybe there's a player that you sign, an older player that you trade for and pick up or whatever that can fill the spot for a couple of years while Charlie continues to grow his game. Hey Nick, where can folks find you?
Canes Prospects on Twitter, YouTube, and then we're Hurricanes Prospects on Instagram, where I try and post as much as I can, but I forget from time to time. So those are the big ones. And then obviously the podcast was really cool to finally get our first guest on. And we had a couple ideas for more, but one of them just got promoted to the interim coach of the Wolves. So that one might be a little bit tougher now.
Trying to get Spurs in essence. Yes.
We're gonna try and get him eventually, and we have a couple other ideas, but it's nice to branch out a little bit to that. And then obviously the written work, canesprospects.com, even though it might be a little slower now with me being back home for a break. So
yes, and of course your Substack, and we also offer a lot of your Substack content at stormTRacker website as well. So it's great stuff, Nick. As always, just great to talk Canes prospects with you, and I want to wish you the best through the holiday season, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a great time with family and friends.
Thank you, you too.
To all of you who are spending time with us, we want to wish you the best to the holiday season, and certainly hope that this is a special time for you with family and friends, and want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we want to thank you for spending time with us today to talk Carolina Hurricanes prospects with Nick Bass. If you like this episode, please press the like button. If you have any comments or questions, please put those in the comment section down below. And if you want to be alerted of future episodes of stormTRacker, please press the subscribe and the bell buttons, and we'll make sure you're made aware just as soon as they're available. As always, Nick and I are delighted you spent time with us and look forward to getting together with you real soon, right here on stormTRacker.